My name is Jenny Stoll. I'm an assistant professor of music therapy in the Hugh Hodgson School of Music here at UGA. My first interest came when I was in high school. I was a clarinet player in the concert band and marching band, and band was my favorite class of the day. So when it came time to think about where I wanted to go to college and what I wanted to study, I had always been really interested in music, and then I was really interested in psychology and human behavior. And I had a really wonderful band director at the time who was really invested in students and their futures, and he said, I think you should look into music therapy. It kind of combines your two loves. And so I found the one book in my local library that was about music therapy, and I think I set the record for how many times you could renew a book from the library because I just wanted to read the whole thing over and over and over. And we now use an updated version of that book in one of my classes. So from there, I looked at schools that have music therapy programs, and there aren't a lot in the country. Here in Georgia, there are only 2 schools that have a music therapy program. So we're really lucky here in Athens to have University of Georgia having a program. I attended the University of Miami down in Florida because I grew up in Iowa, and I wanted to go somewhere where I was going to get exposure to a lot of different clinical populations in a big city. From there, I completed my clinical music therapy internship at a hospital, and then I worked as an independent contractor for a year. That got a little bit tricky because I was paid per session, so if our clients got sick or went on vacation, I didn't get paid, and that was kind of tough. So I found a little bit more financially stable opportunity back in Iowa as a music therapist. Worked there for about 4.5 years and really fell in love with the hospice population. I was working with hospice and older adults most of the time. So I got a position as a music therapist and bereavement coordinator in Austin, Texas. I worked there for 2 years and had the opportunity to return to Miami for graduate school. They offered to pay for it by having an assistantship, and I had felt at that point that I had been a clinician in the field for about 7 years, and knew kind of where the gaps in my skills were. So I thought, I would go back to school to build my skills and also start to learn how to do research. So I went back to Miami. I got to do a clinical year at the Children's Hospital, and then my second year was at the Cancer Center. So I had a really great experience there. My master's thesis focused actually on providing music therapy as a support to caregivers of older adults. And that really spurred from the experience I had working in hospice. Like I said, I did that for about 6 years, and I was going to the homes of a lot of our hospice patients and families, and I started to see both the physical and emotional toll that caregiving took on the caregivers of our hospice patients. And I saw that there were support groups and different supports in place for the older adults with the diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia, but not a lot of support for the people taking care of them. And so for my master's thesis, I created a music therapy support group for caregivers and studied the effect of that group on stress, anxiety, and depression. So then when I came to UGA, I wanted to stay involved in working with older adults and serving caregivers, and so that's when I got connected with the Care Center staff. They've all been really wonderful. They really believe in holistic care of the individual, and we're really trying to treat the whole person and their families. And so it's been really wonderful to kind of get in from the beginning here at the Care Center and really be part of their team. I attend the weekly rounds with our neuropsychologist, with the medical director, with the social worker, with the pharmacist, and music therapy is part of that. And we provide that holistic, well-rounded care here, which has been really wonderful. It kind of stemmed from me reaching out to the Care Center when I first started at UGA in the fall of 2022. I had spent a lot of my clinical experience prior to coming to higher ed working with older adults, and so I wanted to partner here because our students have to complete clinical hours, and I thought it would be a really great opportunity for them to partner with another unit on campus. And then because we were providing music therapy to the loved ones of the caregivers who were already attending support group, it removed a barrier for the caregivers to be able to come and attend, because oftentimes they can't come to support group if they don't have someone to care for their loved one at home. So by providing this, we not only gave a meaningful experience to their loved ones with dementia, but it also allowed the caregivers to come and get the support that they need as well. So our biggest focus in music therapy is that we're using music as a tool to address non-musical goals. And so our purpose is never to teach someone how to sing or how to play an instrument. We do sing and play instruments in our music therapy group, but there's always a non-musical purpose. So for our older adults with dementia, we do a lot of music for reminiscing. We do a lot of instrument playing to try to promote and motivate movement. We do a lot of sequencing exercises, socialization exercises. A lot of our members of our group spend a lot of time at home away from people, and when they get into this environment, music is a really non-intimidating way for them to engage with one another, and they find a lot of common ground in the music that we choose for our sessions. The other piece is that the music that we provide is both recorded and live. Live music gives us the opportunity to manipulate it, so we can slow down the song or speed up the song. We can change the words in the midst of the music to really elicit what we're trying to get from the participants. The really cool thing about music is that it's processed all over the brain. So the different elements of music like tempo and rhythm and melody light up different areas of the brain that actually aren't affected by dementia. And so that's why we can see people who maybe couldn't tell us what they had for lunch 3 hours ago, but they're singing every word to "I've Been Working on the Railroad." And that's really exciting, not only for the individuals in our group to see, to have that success as they're singing, but it's also really wonderful for their loved ones to see, because it kind of brings that person back for a minute, right? That's the person they knew before memory started to decline, before the cognition started to decline. And so that's why we get really excited when we come over and work with our individuals, because we really get to use music to bring out the best of people. Because we call it patient-preferred music, right? So I always kind of give the connection of, if I was in the hospital and I wasn't feeling well and someone came with music and said, "I brought all of my favorite opera music to help you feel better today," I would say, "Well, please leave, because I don't like opera music and it's not gonna make me feel better." So our students go through 6 semesters of clinical training, and they're required to learn 20 songs every semester to build a really robust repertoire so that they can provide patient-preferred music. So that first question in any group or individual session is what kind of music do you like? You know, so that we can then choose that music that they're going to be motivated by and engage with. You heard earlier today one of the participants say, "Oh, that's a song from our childhood," right? And that's really important in working with older adults, because as they start to decline cognitively, the music from their childhood is stored in a different area, and so they can still recall those songs. So that's why we do a lot of those older, repetitive, familiar songs, because those are the ones that are going to be most motivating, most remembered, and give us the greatest response. So there's kind of 2 different paths. The first one is definitely in our groups, being able to see how the participants respond. Sometimes they come into the room, they're very tired or reserved, or we say, "How are you today?" and they just kind of shake their head. But the minute we find a song that is familiar to them, they kind of transform into this different person, and they're singing and they're engaging in conversation and they're moving to music. And the ability to witness music unlocking that in a person is just incredible. And then in my role as assistant professor, I get to watch our students discover that. And so helping train students musically and clinically to be able to facilitate those sessions. And because I get to be in the session with our students, I kind of get to see the moment that the light bulb comes on for the students, and they realize, wow, I got to do that. And that just makes me so excited for the future of our field, and getting to train future music therapists that ultimately are going to benefit so many people in the world.